Hey guys, I'm Griffin McElroy from Polygon.com. I'm here with Daniel Suarez from Activision, and I just checked out Call of Duty Black Ops, and I want you to tell me a little bit about the future.
Sure. So going into the future, I think for the first time since Modern Warfare went modern, this is the first time Call of Duty's really sort of evolved into a new time period. So we're going near future. It's not the super future with laser guns and spaceships, it's near future. So it's really 15 years into the future. And what that allows us to do is really sort of look at what's going on in terms of technology, what's going on in the geopolitical climate, and really saying, what can we do to create a plausible near future that fits within Call of Duty, because everything we've done has sort of always been almost historically accurate, and creating a fiction that is going to really create a new sort of Call of Duty experience for players.
Is it hard to find that narrative without the guidance of history like you've had in past Call of Duty games?
Sure, it definitely makes it a lot harder. And I think if you look at what we've done in the past with World War II, we had history books, we could talk to soldiers, we could understand what happened at certain battles, and even on the Modern Warfare sort of style of game, you know, we really looked at what's going on with soldiers and, you know, that are based across the world, and talked to Navy SEALs and talked to all those guys. And even with Black Ops, we actually had a guy by the name of John Plaster, who was in Vietnam, was a Black Ops soldier, and he came in and talked to us for several hours. He's written multiple books on the subject to really sort of inspire us. So this time around, we kind of had to take a different approach. Part of our story is a sequel to Black Ops, so we had someone help us with sort of the 80s fictions. We had Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North come in and talk to us about that. But then for the future, it's really sort of like, how do we define that? How do we make it feel authentic, plausible, realistic? And not just with the guns and the technology that you're using, but really what the geopolitical sort of climate is all about. So a really good example, you just saw a level in LA where you've got guys got the sniper storm weapon, right? Can see through walls that they can use with a very high-powered weapon to shoot through that. Well, today you probably flew here from somewhere and the TSA had this X-ray vision to actually look at you while you're standing there.
Yeah.
Well, 15 years from now, there could be a scope that allows you to sort of see through an X-ray machine, or through X-ray that way. So we kind of take those sort of liberties of what's technology that's here today that possibly could be used in that sort of format. So that's really how that inspiration came to.
So is it not sort of paralyzing to have that many options available to you as far as like inventing new weapons, that even ones that are inspired by, you know, DARPA technology? The robot in there that looked a lot like Big Dog certainly seemed like you guys took a cue from that.
Again, what we look at is what's going to be right for the game, what feels right, what are the kinds of things that we need in this environment or in this mission or in multiplayer. So we kind of know what we're looking for, at least, you know, if you look at a lot of the weapons that we're using, a lot of it's still stuff that's sort of based on things today, but then adding those attachments or adding those elements that sort of feel near future. So none of it is, oh my God, I'm going to create this sort of fantastical weapon that does this, but it's really like going, what's in the world today, what's being utilized by soldiers in the battlefield, what is being invented in an R&D today that we see, you know, being reported on the internet or being discussed, and then go, okay, how do we just kind of nudge that just a tiny bit? So it's not really sort of pie in the sky, but really sort of what could be conceivable and plausible.
Yeah, that tiny nudge though represents like a huge risk for the franchise. It seems like where you guys are basing something on fiction instead of well, not exactly fiction, but kind of science fiction. Have the fans been any like nervous at all about that? About the same weapons that they've been using for a while getting, you know, updated and modernized?
Sure. Well, they haven't played it yet, and I can
Sure.
guarantee you that when we actually go out there and start talking about multiplayer and the different things that they'll be doing in single player with the different types of weapon tech, we're our own worst critics in terms of what we do, and we play the game a lot, and we will never sort of do something that I would say jumps that shark to say, oh, suddenly it's gone science fiction and they're shooting aliens with, you know, lasers and all that kind of. We're not going to do that. It's literally going to be based on something that feels plausible, feels right, and number one is going to really sort of make the game feel that much cooler.
Cool. So choice seemed to be a pretty big factor in the demo that I just watched, whether it was in the Strike Force missions where you can control either humans or mechs, or just in the campaign levels alone, you can make a choice between, in one section, rappelling down a bridge or sniping from that bridge.
Sure.
That's also something new for the franchise, isn't it?
Yeah, so for us, you know, in Call of Duty Black Ops 2, we wanted to sort of push innovation on every sort of facet. Single player, campaign, and co-op. And on the campaign side, we want to do a lot of different things with the story. One, offering these sort of alternative pathways you can actually take within the map. So you talked about the ability to say, okay, I'm going to go into sniper mode versus rappelling down that bridge and then going close quarters combat with the guys down below. What we showed in the demo is I'm going to use my sniper weapon to basically do Overwatch with my guys down below. And that's just one example. I think later on in the level that you saw, we actually showed you going through one hallway through the mall. There's two other pathways you can take within that level that will actually get you to the end point, but they're various different sort of enemies, encounters, and things that you'll actually see as you go through that. That's just one example of choice. Another thing that the Strike Force missions do actually allow you to change the way the story will play out depending on your success or failure in the game. So in Strike Force, it's a new kind of mission type. It's a little bit more strategic RTS, but still has its sort of roots within Call of Duty. So for the guys that haven't seen it, it's basically a mission. It plays out in the linear structure of the game, but you're given these options to say, okay, here's a couple different types of Strike Force missions. Which one do you want to go on? And you'll sort of get like this geopolitical sort of summary of what's going on in the world, and you'll go, okay, I really need to do this mission. You'll then deploy into that mission with a unique squad. It's not your sort of key characters from the main storyline. It's a unique alternate squad that is going to go on this mission.
Some red shirts.
Some red shirts, but they're actually going to have some unique personalities attached to them. Okay. So they won't be just generic, you know, John Smith. No disservice to John Smith out there,
but you're dead.
So when you get into this mission, there'll be multiple soldiers you can actually pull out, look at what they're doing, what their different loadouts will be, and you can then zoom back in and take whichever soldier you want. You can set waypoints for the other guys, they'll take cover, they'll provide cover fire, and they'll basically protect you as you're actually going through the mission. In addition to that, there'll be different types of drones that deploy into the battlefield. You'll have these quad-rotor drones, which are these flying, smaller vehicles. You've got your claws, which are these big beefy quads, and you have your assault drones, which are a lot faster, but ground-based as well. And those, you can utilize those throughout the battlefield, set waypoints for them, or you actually control them yourself, which I think is a lot of fun when you're in the quad-rotor flying around and just nailing guys as they're coming in.
And that's a single-player mode, right? Even though you're controlling the whole battlefield, it's just you, right?
It's just you. So it really changes the way Call of Duty single-player campaign gameplay has been sort of set from the past. And we think people are going to love the choice, love that sort of sandbox, sort of different approach to how I take the mission. If you want to play it straightforward and just be in first-person mode the whole time, you can. Or if you want to sort of change it up and be a little bit more strategic, you can literally sit there and just use Overwatch the whole time. Okay, I'm going to set my guys over here. They're going to go there. I'm going to set the quad rotors around the flank. I'm going to send the claw up the middle and see what happens. There's so much different variation. That's what we really wanted to do. That was one of our big innovations in what we wanted to change.
Why were you interested in sort of investing into that sort of, it almost looked like a strategy game? When that's never really been your guys' purview?
You know, I think what we want to do is just change things around. And I think if you look at the team at Treyarch, they're constantly pushing innovation each and every way they can. I think on Black Ops 1, we really did things with storyline, with the way the storyline changed, and we kind of time jumping, and the whole thing is Reznov alive or dead. And that was something that was really important to us. I think this time around, we wanted to introduce a new villain. We haven't really talked about Raul Menendez too much. But for them, it's really sort of creating this unique and compelling villain like we've never seen in Call of Duty. The branching storylines, the Strike Force missions, just changing the formula enough so it feels new and different and fresh, but is also innovative in and of itself.
Speaking of not knowing if they're alive or dead, zombies.
Yes.
Those are back.
Yes.
What's up with that?
What's up with that? You know,
you guys haven't talked too much about zombies, right?
We haven't. Okay. I'll give you some tidbits.
Okay.
But, you know, zombies is back, and
they're undead. They eat brains.
They eat brains.
Gotcha.
They're hard to kill. You got to board up the windows,
sure.
All that kind of stuff. You know, this time around, we're doing probably the biggest zombie thing we've ever done before. And I think when we look at it, and the guys at Treyarch, and we talk about it, we sort of see this sort of being the complete package. An awesome single player that's big and beefy, multiplayer that's huge and multifaceted, and then zombies is now sort of like that third leg of the stool, which is just as important. And what we've done on the tech side, we've actually taken, zombies was traditionally sort of worked under what we call the single player executable. It used a lot of the sort of tech that was built for single player. Mm-hmm. We've now taken that and moved that over to multiplayer. That's given us a lot of new sort of toys to play with. So more players, more zombies, and sort of changing the game mode concept a little bit you have in multiplayer and bringing that into zombies. So the example I would give you is a 4-player, you know, traditionally zombies was 4-player survival. Now say it's 4 of your friends, 4 of my friends, and a lot of zombies, and you guys competitively playing against all the zombies. So changing that sort of traditional sort of gameplay mode you expect with some new and different types of variants.
Cool. Can you talk about the multiplayer at all? Typically the Black Ops games and the Treyarch Call of Duty games focus a lot on customization and unlockables of, I don't want to say zany weapons, but oftentimes kind of zany weapons. You guys had explosive crossbows and tomahawks. Yeah. Is that going to be something you guys are doing for Black Ops 2?
We're not talking a lot about the weapons, but what I can say, you know, the team at Treyarch are always pushing innovation, and even on the multiplayer side. So if you think about what we did for Black Ops 1, we had theater. We introduced theater for the first time, allowing players to create sort of their best videos of their kills, their tomahawk kills, and putting that up on the web. We introduced combat training. We introduced a wager match. We're always thinking of new and interesting ways for players to actually engage in multiplayer just beyond what's there already. A lot of the things inspired these guys over the last 2 years. One is competitive gaming. Esports for David Vonderhaar and Dan Budden, the sort of two main leads for multiplayer, really sort of just blew their minds. You know, they went to a lot of MLG stuff. And they were like, wow, this is a total unique culture. They look at the game differently. They play the game differently. So there'll be some features that we're actually building into the game that really sort of cater to that. In addition to that, social interaction with the game, with your friends, your Facebook friends, other people that you want to engage with is going to be bigger and just have different opportunities of what we're going to be doing this time in multiplayer. And then lastly, you know, we launched Elite last year on MW3.
Yeah.
Wasn't a lot of integration with Elite in the game itself, so we're doing a lot more this time.
Cool.
With Black Ops 2.
So with all the things that you guys are changing, you know, putting part of the game in the future, giving players all this amount of choice, why not name it something else other than Black Ops 2? Why not, like, you know, DARPA's Wet Dream or something like that?
Well, it is a sequel, right? So Black Ops 1 ended, and you know, Mason's still alive, and we thought Woods was alive, but actually thought Woods was dead, but now you find out he's alive. And those characters are so rich, and really for us, that Cold War setting from the 60s and 70s was an awesome sort of landscape to sort of build a game from. You had Cuba, you had Vietnam, you had the whole Cold War, and we wanted to continue that story. And so we're going to go back, and you're going to have some levels set in the 80s, and Woods is back, and those guys were there, and some pretty cool, compelling locations, and that's where Oliver North came in and sort of consulted with us to sort of say, hey, look, here are the things that happened in that time period. Here's some crazy stories that were true Black Ops stories, and we heard it from the de facto Black Ops guy, and really sort of inspired our team to create these really compelling levels that are going to be set there. But then we said, what else can we do? We want to sort of create this longer fiction for that, and you know, stopping in the 80s just was like, didn't feel robust enough. So we said, look, let's blow this out and go into 2025.
Awesome, great. Well, it looks really promising. I'm Griffin McElroy from Polygon.com, and thanks.
All right,
Thank
awesome.
you.